Hi, Tyler. Just want to get your reaction to the DIJONAI ejection and what you saw happen on that play.
In the moment, I thought that she made a play on the ball. I didn't think it warranted a flagrant two. I didn't see the replay, when it happened. So that was my initial thoughts. But the officials made what they made. I haven't looked at that play since, so I really don't know if it was justified or not. But that's what I thought in the moment.
I put together a little clip of DJ Carrington, who is definitely one of the dirtiest players in the WNBA.
Yeah, so Carrington is a dirty player, probably the dirtiest player in the league. And then she has the audacity to go online right after her ejection and claim that she got ejected because of racism.
And then Cunningham gets into...
Welcome back to my channel, your go-to source for the latest WNBA news, updates, and breaking stories. We have another major update for you today, and we hope you enjoy this video. Before we get started, make sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and let's get right into the story. Chicago Sky head coach has reportedly suspended star player DIJONAI Carrington following her confrontation with Indiana Fever star Sophie Cunningham. The suspension comes after what many are describing as a fight during their recent matchup, where tensions boiled over and resulted in a flagrant foul that has since developed into a major controversy. The WNBA is also investigating allegations involving hateful comments from fans, which the league announced shortly after the incident. However, the situation has now taken an even more dramatic turn, with Carrington reportedly facing internal discipline from her own team. Sources close to the organization suggest that the suspension may not be related solely to the on-court incident, but also to Carrington's conduct after the play and her response during the league's subsequent investigation. The confrontation that ultimately led to this unprecedented decision occurred during the third quarter of what had already been a highly physical and intense matchup between the Chicago Sky and Indiana Fever.
The plays. Look. Yanking her hair down. Oh, that's a basketball play, y'all. And tell me if you notice a common denominator. Look. Basketball play, look. Basketball play. I didn't know you can rip somebody's hair out. That's a basketball. Look. Ankle injury. That's a basketball play, y'all. Look, poke right in the eye. It's not this many basketball plays in the world. There's not this many coincidences in the world. She went up like this and came down like this and pumped an eye. Knocked her all upside her head. Now she got CT. Like, this is what you call a track record. Look. Not even going for the ball. Like, come on.
But that's what DIJONAI Carrington does.
After DIJONAI Carrington confronted Sophie Cunningham, Cunningham managed to get back to her feet, and the situation quickly escalated into a heated confrontation between the two players. Before things could get any worse, players from both teams rushed in and immediately separated them. The atmosphere inside the arena became extremely tense as teammates worked to keep Cunningham and Carrington apart. The Indianapolis crowd responded with a loud chorus of boos aimed at Carrington, creating an intense atmosphere that would later be described very differently depending on who was telling the story. As the Indiana Fever pulled away and secured a dominant victory, it initially appeared that the incident had been contained on the court. However, within hours, allegations began spreading across social media claiming that some Indiana Fever fans had gone beyond passionate support and engaged in inappropriate behavior toward Carrington. The WNBA quickly announced that it would investigate the allegations, which gave the claims greater attention despite ongoing questions about their accuracy. The league stated that it strongly condemns racism, hate, and all forms of discriminatory behavior, setting the stage for what would become one of the most divisive controversies in recent basketball. But the story has now taken an unexpected turn following the Chicago Sky coach's decision to suspend Carrington. According to team insiders, the organization was embarrassed by the entire situation and believed Carrington's actions both during and after the game failed to meet the team's standards for professionalism.
A basketball play, and the refs made a basketball ruling. So can we stick to basketball for a moment? Basketball play. She was attempting to go for the ball, at least she said so. She missed, and she missed egregiously. She missed, and she flagrantly hit Sophie Cunningham in the head. Now, flagrant 2, by definition, if you hit somebody with so much force that it could lead to injury, and if it doesn't appear to be a play on the ball. Though DIJONAI's intention was to play the ball, her impact was all on Sophie Cunningham's head.
The suspension is reportedly indefinite, with DIJONAI Carrington expected to meet certain behavioral requirements before she can be reinstated to the active roster. The Chicago Sky's decision to suspend Carrington comes after the organization had already released a statement that many believed doubled down on accusations stemming from a false Twitter post involving Indiana Fever fans. That apparent contradiction has led some observers to speculate that the suspension may be more about damage control than genuine disciplinary action, especially as the team faces criticism for amplifying unverified allegations about the Fever fanbase. ESPN's coverage of the suspension has also been extensive, with commentators divided over whether the punishment is appropriate for what happened. One headline involving Stephen A. Smith and Monica McNutt highlighted a heated segment in which the two personalities were challenged over their handling of the controversy and their reactions to the news of Carrington's suspension. The situation presents unprecedented challenges for the WNBA. The league has benefited tremendously from the attention surrounding Sophie Cunningham and her growing rivalry with established players such as Carrington. Television ratings have increased, social media engagement has surged, and women's basketball is receiving more mainstream attention than ever before. However, the controversy and Carrington's suspension now threaten to overshadow the actual basketball being played. For DIJONAI Carrington, the suspension represents a major setback in what had been a promising WNBA career. After starring at LSU and helping lead her team to a national championship over Sophie Cunningham's Iowa squad, Carrington entered the professional ranks with high expectations and a reputation as an intense competitor. She now finds herself sidelined indefinitely while facing questions about her temperament and professionalism. Meanwhile, Sophie Cunningham continues to make an impact on the court, breaking records and attracting unprecedented attention to the league.
People love that stuff. Quote, Sophie Cunningham, after Sophie had a flagrant foul on J.C. Sheldon being a protector for Caitlin Clark. Do you know what happened after that foul? In 1 week's time, Sophie Cunningham got 1 million new TikTok followers. Got celebrated for being an enforcer. And Ring, a week later, Ring gave her an endorsement.
You guys know how serious I am about protecting my girls on the court. But what's protecting my home court, aka my actual home? The obvious choice is Ring.
That's what happened for Sophie Cunningham. DIJONAI wrote white privilege in threads right afterwards. And my only problem with that is, which white privilege are you talking about?
The Chicago Sky must now navigate the remainder of their schedule without one of their key players, at least for the time being. The team's performance during DIJONAI Carrington's absence will be closely watched, as will any comments from players, coaches, or team officials regarding the suspension. If the Sky begin to struggle, pressure could build to bring Carrington back sooner rather than later, regardless of the conditions originally established for her return. For the WNBA, the bigger challenge will be finding a way to capitalize on the enormous interest surrounding the Sophie Cunningham and DIJONAI Carrington rivalry without allowing it to turn into the kind of off-court drama that threatens to overshadow the sport itself. How the league handles both the investigation into fan behavior and its response to Carrington's suspension could play a major role in determining whether this moment becomes a positive turning point or a cautionary example. As fans and media continue digesting the news of Carrington's suspension, the debate over what actually happened during and after the game remains ongoing. Video footage has been examined frame by frame, witness accounts have been analyzed, and social media posts have been picked apart for clues about what really took place. The truth, as is often the case in situations like this, may ultimately lie somewhere between the competing versions of events. What is undeniable, however, is that women's basketball has captured national attention on a scale that few could have imagined. The challenge now is making sure that attention leads to sustainable growth rather than being driven primarily by short-lived controversy. That responsibility does not belong solely to the league or its players. Media organizations, social media platforms, and fans all have a role to play in shaping the conversation. As the season continues, the hope is that the focus eventually returns to where it belongs, the basketball court. That is where a new generation of extraordinary athletes is changing women's basketball, inspiring millions of fans, and proving that the sport deserves an even bigger platform. The Sophie Cunningham, DIJONAI Carrington rivalry has the potential to become one of the most compelling stories in sports, but only if it is allowed to develop naturally through competition rather than being defined by suspensions, investigations, and off-court controversy. For now, the basketball world is waiting to see when, or if, Carrington will return to action and what the consequences of this suspension will ultimately mean for her career, the Chicago Sky, and the WNBA as a whole. As this story continues to unfold, one thing has become impossible to ignore. The WNBA is no longer operating in the shadows of the sports world. Every game, every rivalry, every controversial moment, and every major statement is being watched, discussed, debated, and analyzed by millions of fans across the country. What began as a basketball rivalry has now grown into something much larger, and Carrington's suspension has added another unexpected chapter to a story that already had the basketball world talking. But beyond the controversy, the arguments, and the headlines, there is still a game being played. Players are working every day to improve their skills, compete at the highest level, and help build a stronger future for women's basketball. Sophie Cunningham continues to attract enormous attention every time she steps onto the court, while Carrington now faces uncertainty about what comes next. Whether this suspension becomes a temporary setback or permanently changes the way fans and teams view her remains unknown. That uncertainty is precisely what makes the next chapter so intriguing. The Chicago Sky will have to move forward while dealing with the pressure surrounding their organization, while the WNBA must carefully manage the growing attention surrounding its players and biggest storylines. Meanwhile, fans will continue asking the questions that have dominated social media. What really happened? Was the punishment justified? Could the situation have been handled differently? And most importantly, what happens next? Those questions may not have simple answers, and the complete truth may take time to emerge. But one thing is certain, this story is far from over. As the season progresses, every game involving Sophie Cunningham, DIJONAI Carrington, and the Chicago Sky will carry an additional level of attention. Every reaction will be analyzed, every statement will be examined, and every moment on the court could become the next major headline. Yet while controversy can generate temporary attention, the ultimate goal should remain the same: growing the game and giving women's basketball the respect, recognition, and platform it deserves. The next generation of stars is already here, proving that women's basketball can deliver the same excitement, emotion, rivalries, and unforgettable moments that sports fans have always demanded. So the question is no longer whether people are watching. They absolutely are. The real question is what this moment will mean once the season is over. Will it become a turning point that helps the league grow even stronger, or will it simply be remembered as another controversy that briefly dominated the headlines? Only time will tell. Until then, the basketball world will be watching closely, waiting for the next game, the next statement, and the next chapter. And if everything we have seen so far is any indication, the biggest moments of this story may still be ahead. So stay tuned, because this is far from over. If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss the next major WNBA update. When the next chapter arrives, we will be here to break it all down.